Matthew 1:4. The day had been long, filled with crowds of people listening to Jesus teach. On the hillside, thousands had gathered, and with just 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, Jesus had fed them all. The disciples were amazed, but now evening was falling. The sky turned soft with orange and pink as the sun dipped low. A cool breeze blew across the lake. Jesus turned to his disciples and said gently, "Go on ahead of me. Get into the boat and cross to the other side." The disciples looked puzzled. "Without you, Lord?" they asked. Jesus nodded with a smile. "Yes, I will meet you later." So they climbed into their wooden boat, pushed it into the water, and began to row. The waves lapped gently at first, and the moon rose over the darkening sky. Jesus, meanwhile, walked up a hillside alone. Under the stars, he prayed to his Father in heaven, finding peace in the quiet of the night. Hours passed, and the disciples rowed steadily. But then suddenly the wind grew strong. The waves swelled higher, crashing against the sides of the boat. The disciples strained at the oars, their arms aching, their faces tense. Lightning flickered in the distance, and the boat rocked up and down. Fear crept into their hearts. They were tired, soaked, and afraid. "Will we ever make it?" one whispered. And then something incredible happened. Out across the dark, rolling waters, a figure appeared. At first it looked like a faint shadow in the moonlight, moving closer and closer. The disciples squinted, their eyes wide. "It's a ghost," they cried in terror, gripping the boat. But then a familiar voice rang out above the roar of the wind. "Take courage. It is I, do not be afraid." It was Jesus walking on the water. His robe fluttered in the wind, but his steps were steady, as if the waves were solid ground beneath his feet. The disciples gasped. Their fear turned to awe. Peter, always bold, called out, "Lord, if it's really you, let me come to you on the water." Jesus smiled and answered, "Come." Peter climbed over the side of the boat, his heart pounding. He placed one foot on the water, then the other. To his amazement, he stood. Step by step, he walked toward Jesus. The waves curled around his legs, but he did not sink. His eyes stayed fixed on the Lord. But then, Peter looked at the wind. He saw the huge waves crashing around him, heard the storm howling, and fear filled his heart. In that moment, he began to sink. "Lord, save me," Peter cried, splashing in the waves. At once, Jesus reached out his hand and pulled Peter up. "You of little faith," he said kindly, "why did you doubt?" Together, they climbed into the boat. And as soon as Jesus stepped inside, the wind died down. The waves grew calm, and the night became still again. The disciples fell to their knees in awe. "Truly, you are the Son of God," they whispered, their hearts filled with wonder. And as the boat glided peacefully across the quiet water, the disciples knew they had witnessed something unforgettable. Jesus, Lord over the storm, walking on water. Children, this story reminds us that when we keep our eyes on Jesus, we don't need to be afraid of the storms in life. Even when we stumble, He is always there to reach out His hand and save us.